What's up, guys? This Saturday, UFC 286 is going down. Kamaru, Usman, and Leon Edwards are going to fight for the third time. Kamaru Usman won the first fight. Leon Edwards won the second fight. Now, this is going to settle it. It's going to settle who's a better fighter between the two. And me personally, what I think is going down and who I think is going to win, I think it's going to be and new at the end of Saturday night. I think Kamaru Usman is going to get his belt back. This is a very, very close fight. And I'm not entirely confident in my prediction. Because in the last fight, it showed us that literally anything can happen in a fight. Where from Usman getting taken down and almost getting submitted in round 1 to him getting knocked out at the end of the fight in round 5. It was literally an MMA fight at its finest. Anything can and will happen in there. And that's what happened. And in this fight, from the narrative kind of going into this fight is, Leon Edwards doesn't have to deal with the altitude this time. He's going to be at his home. The crowd's going to be cheering him on. It's like, people think it's kind of going towards Leon's favor. And one of the problems that I have with the altitude stuff, it's very infuriating, but it is what it is. It so happened. It's I don't really mean this in a disrespectful way towards Leon Edwards, but just here's what I would say, just being logical. And if I knew that in 2 or 3 months I'm gonna fight somewhere where there's altitude, first of all, you gotta do your research. You gotta see how long it takes to get used to the weather and used to the climate and the altitude or whatever, so that way you can get your body ready. And you there's examples from previous UFC fighters Cain Velasquez. He went over to Mexico City. I think he came the week of the fight or something crazy like that, and then he ended up getting completely gassed out. And literally, you can just check on the internet. I think it's about maybe 3 weeks or 2 weeks to get acclimatized to the place. And Leon Edwards, not only himself but his coaches knew that they were fighting at elevation, months before. It was announced around June, maybe even in May. So that's plenty of time. I'm sorry, but if you don't know how to get ready for something like that, then that's just a dumb mistake, because you're going out there, you're risking it, everything. You might not get another title shot, and then you're not gonna get ready for the altitude. But what I also find weird is I'm not entirely sure how long it takes, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, but Leon, he said that he had been sleeping in an elevation chamber prior to the fight. I think it was maybe before the 2 weeks. So, that should also help as well. And then the 2 weeks he was there for, he should have helped him. But regardless, it still happened. I think it's just a dumb mistake he made. And he's kind of exposed himself as a bit of an idiot. Because it's you're going to risk taking years off your life, and just because you don't want to do your research on the elevation. But either way, that's just who Leon Edwards is as a person. I can't help that. It already happened. But what you can't, the reason that I'm not exactly entirely convinced the elevation had a lot to do with Leon's slowing down is he was losing that second round. I don't think he was starting to feel it in the second round, because it seemed he was fighting he was in the first round, but Usman was putting more pressure on him and striking more and then grappling. And it seemed maybe towards round 3, it seemed it might have taken an effect on him. But regardless, in the first fight, the first time they fought, it was kind of looking how rounds 2, 3, and 4 looked in the rematch. But except like Usman was like striking more and more, having like being more clean when Leon was up against the fence. And in the first fight, Usman just dominated, and there was no altitude excuse there. Like, it was just plain ground. So, and it still looked like that. So, can we really say that the altitude is gonna have an effect in the fight? Who knows? Only the two fighters that were in that cage know. Usman and Edwards, they're the ones who know. But another point is, Leon has been kind of saying how he said a while ago in the MMA hour that Kamaru's not that good. Like, when Leon was up against the fence and this was kind of like punching him and then taking him down, apparently Leon was thinking to himself, oh, this guy's not even that good. Just shocking, because he was literally getting beat up by him, and then he's like, oh, he's not even that good. And I don't really see how you can say that when you're losing that bad and you're just getting beat up. It can seem like, maybe Leon's he's feeling more confident, but it's very dangerous to have that sort of mindset. But what's even more dangerous is when Leon Edwards actually said that he doesn't see a way for Kamaru Usman to win this fight. And I don't know if that's just him trying to play mind games and trying to deceive people and make them think, oh yeah, or maybe he's trying to say that to send a message to Usman and be like, oh, I don't know how you can win this fight. But he actually does know ways he can win. But I hope he's joking and not being serious. Because if he's seriously going into a fight like that, that can be very, very dangerous. And, you could argue Usman had that mindset going into the rematch, because Usman was telling him, how are you going to beat me, Leon? He was saying that at the press conference. And Leon said that on the MMA hour, which is when you go into a fight, you always gotta see every way your opponent can win. John Jones talked about it when he was fighting Rampage Jackson. He would have dreams of how Rampage would win the fight against him, and that gave him it made him scared. And then almost in a way it made him fight better. Rampage talked about how it gives scared fighters more adrenaline or something like that. I'm not too sure about that, but either way, whenever you go into a fight or anything, you cannot just overestimate yourself and say, I don't see how my opponent can win. That is not the mindset of someone who's really focused on their opponent and prepared for everything they can do. Because I haven't talked about it, but the way I can see Kamaru Usman winning this fight is I think he can stop Leon in the third round. And the reason I say that is because, well, for one, I think he could first we'll talk about the ground and how he can finish him on the ground. So Usman, throughout his majority of his UFC career, he's taken people down. He's kind of stayed in full guard and kind of looked for shots, but majority of the time, his opponents would pop back up, and they would pop back up, and then he would take them down again. And it seems like that's kind of part of his game plan. Same with Colby, they take you down, and they get back up. It doesn't seem like it's too hard for them to get back up, and then they get taken down again. It seems like they want to make them work and kind of break them in that way, because it's you try to build up, but then you constantly get put back down. It's you build up, back down, up, down. It's a pretty tiring cycle, because they're gonna make you work to get back up. They're gonna put their weight on you, and that's gonna exhaust you more. That's why most of their opponents, they get more fatigued than they are, because that's what counter grappling is about. You gotta wear your opponent out by using your own weight and making them work harder than you. But even though Usman has done that, I think he does have submission threats. He showed it in his first UFC fight on the Ultimate Fighter finale. He hasn't shown it much throughout the majority of his career. And, it can be kind of wild to say this, but I think he could honestly be, like, he could catch Leon with his submission. I think if he actually, like, takes him down, like, he usually, like, pulls a double leg, and then, like, it's kind of like a postured stance from stag guard. He'll, like, punch him, but he needs to pass the guard and then try to move over to half guard and to full mount. And I don't think he usually tries to do that in his fights. I think he really tries to break them down by, like I said, taking them down over and over again. But if he actually tries to establish control in this fight, I think he could find a way to, like, submit Leon and just, like, be able to, like, finish him through that. Because he's obviously a very strong guy. He's got long arms. And that's really good for choke submissions, whether it's guillotines, arm triangles, dark chokes, anacondas. And I saw him drilling it in one of his vlog videos, either his or Justin Gaethje's. But they're drilling submissions, so I think that's the way he can win. Another way is, obviously, he's got power. Leon was rocked by Nate Diaz. And Leon's kind of going around with this mindset of, oh, even when I was tired, he wasn't able to rock me. That can also, like, delude you into thinking, like, your opponent's not as dangerous as they actually are. And it can lead him to get caught on the feet because he doesn't respect Usman's power. But regardless, it's still going to be a great fight. And no matter what, I'm always going to be a fan of Kamaru Usman. He's had a great career. This could be potentially his last fight. This could potentially not be his last fight. But regardless, he's been a great fighter. I'm a huge fan of him. And, Leon has had a good story. But, I'm not a great fan of the narrative that he goes around with, saying how no one wanted to fight him for, like, 2 years or whatever it was. Because I do remember that in 2020, after his Willie fight fell out, he was up for the fight versus Wonderboy, and he declined that fight. I don't know why he declined it, but I still remember clearly that fight was offered to him. He did not accept it, but it is what it is. Now, like, everyone loves him because he's this, underdog. But I think Kamaru is going to take his belt back. And, I think it's going to be a great fight. I could be wrong. Like, this is a really, really close and competitive fight. But my prediction is Kamaru Usman by third round stoppage. We'll see if it happens. But either way, make sure to tune into my video. After the fights, I'm going to recap the event, give my thoughts on what's next for each fighter. Thank you guys for watching all the way to now. Make sure to like and subscribe.